Hey, good afternoon, guests. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Vibrating Fork and Level Instruments Come of Age digital event with François Gagné, the product manager for level, temperature, and pressure from the marketing team. I'd like to let you know that you can put your questions in the chat box, and we will try our best to get to your questions. And what we don't, we will follow up afterwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a poll question just to get you warmed up. So here we go, just one moment.
And hello also from myself. I'm François. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci beaucoup d'être là aujourd'hui. Thank you all for joining. Much appreciated that you give us some of your time. And yeah, as Gail was saying, type in your questions and we'll get to them either during the presentation or at the end. I am joined today by my wingman colleague Mike Miller. That's the other voice you may hear today. He will help me field the questions. So thank you for answering the poll just to get warmed up, and we also like to know what is motivating people to join us. And do we have some results? I don't think I can't see the results though. Are you showing the results, Gabe?
Hey, Francois, I can see the results here.
Yeah. Here they are.
It's
okay, I can see them too.
You can see them?
Yeah, they just
perfect.
Are up. So yeah, a lot of people interested. Lots of people interested in vibrating forks. So that's good because that's going to be our main topic today. So let's get us started. Thanks for your answers. So just before we talk about, I'm gonna switch off the camera for a bit here. There you go. All right, so just before we get to vibronic level measurement, wanted to say a few words about Endress Hauser, the company. We started back in 1953 in Switzerland, and actually, fun fact, that little plus sign you see in the name Endress Hauser, that's a symbol, a callback of the plus sign in the Swiss flag. We've been doing business in Canada for the past 30 years. Actually, this year is our 30th anniversary of doing business in Canada. You will have access to our products, services, and solutions just about everywhere in the world through our offices and partner network. Global workforce of 14,000 and growing. Now, innovation, as you may know, is an important driver of what we do. We're known for high quality instruments and leading edge technology, and to keep it that way, we have and we want to invest in R&D and research and development. In fact, 7.5% of our earnings every year we put back into research and development, and we have over 8,000 patents and patent applications to show for it.
Hey, Francois, sorry to interrupt you. I think we lost your presentation. If you're sharing your PowerPoint at this moment. There we go.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Mike. Yeah. So you see the little plus sign of figures here. As I said, 7.5%. The global workforce of 14,000. So yeah, thank you, Mike. The joys of remote presentations. Our founder, George H. Endress, thought that we should always think of customers first. He was convinced that if customers were happy, the business would basically take care of itself and we'd be successful. We still follow today that guiding principle. Even though the company has grown a lot, we never forget that we need to first serve, then earn. May wonder what happened to Mr. Hauser. Ludwig Hauser was there when the company started in the 1950s. He was a banker, Swiss banker, who put the initial investment to help the entrepreneurial engineer George Endress to start his company. He left short after, but his name was kept out of respect for that initial investment he made in the company. So it was that combination of the engineer and then the banker to support the dream, to turn the dream into reality. These people are our owners, 3 generations of the Endress family. As we saw, Endress Hauser is a global company, but also a privately owned family company with strong family values. And I use the word generation purposely because we're a private company and because it's part of our values. We think in terms of generations. We believe in nurturing long-term relationships with customers, with employees, and we're not just about meeting next quarter's profit. And we saw proof of that in this current challenging situation and in other difficult times where we keep all our employees and we uphold the level of commitment to our customers and yeah, to our employees also. So that's Endress in a nutshell. And now the feature topic for today's presentation: vibrating fork level instruments and where they are today, the latest evolution. Most of you probably know this, but just to make sure we start at the same point, the vibrating measurement principle uses a tuning fork. That's what you see here. That tuning fork is excited and vibrates at a certain frequency. When you plug it in, you can hear it buzz, and that frequency will reduce when that fork is covered by a liquid, and this change is analyzed and translated into an on-off output signal by the instrument's transmitter. So that's the general principle of how these forks work. And I would say that you're in good hands when it comes to vibronic level measurement, to vibrating forks. You're in good hands with Endress Hauser because we literally invented vibrating forks. I mentioned the importance for us of research and development. Well, we call them liquefants, our line of vibrating forks, because the 2 forks kind of look like the tusks of an elephant. So we call them liquefant for liquids. And we also have the solidifant for solids. We won't talk about that branch of the tuning fork family today. But yeah, I talked about the importance of research and development. The liquefant tuning fork is a great example of that. George Endress that you see here on the right with the bow tie. He envisioned the development of a new sensor. He wanted to make a sensor that was all metal and thus permanently sealed. That was at the start of the 1980s. And the team of engineers created the liquefant and the vibronic measuring principle. And ever since the 80s, the line has evolved. We developed the principle, and then we've kept adding to the line. Today, it's vibrating forks are one of our best-selling items. We sell over 330,000 liquefants each year. And since the 1980s, we estimate that more than 6 million units have been installed all over the world. And today we're going to focus on the latest edition, the step in the present and the future of vibrating forks, the FDL51B. We also launched the FDL41, which is a stripped down version of the 51B, more basic version. We won't talk about it today, but we did launch that more basic version at the same time. So liquefants, I mentioned that the challenge was to have a fully welded sensor with no moving parts or additional seals. So unlike float switches, for example, vibronic instruments do not require maintenance and have a long service life. Other advantages, they're very easy to install, basically plug and play. In most cases, you don't need to adjust or calibrate anything. Since there are no moving parts, no wear and tear, basically maintenance free. And it's a technology that's not affected by some buildup as long as the fork can vibrate, air bubbles, foam, suspension, some vibration, viscosity, and pressure and temperature changes. Any turbulence won't affect the liquefant. As I mentioned, we're going to focus today on the 51B, but we have, as you may have noticed on that timeline, on the evolution there, we have different models: compact, hygienic design. We have the FTL 7071 for high temperatures, the 8081 for fail-safe overfill prevention in applications with functional safety up to SIL 3. But today I want to focus on the latest edition, the 51B, but I wanted to show that there are other options that we have in tuning forks and vibronic level. So the 51B, we call it the all-rounder because of its versatility. Point level detection for tank overfill prevention or pump dry run protection, so high alarm or low alarm. It's a SIL 2 or 3 device, proof test that can now be supported by a wizard that walks you through the steps. We'll have a closer look at that. Heartbeat. If you've seen Endress Hauser product presentation in the past few years, you must have heard about heartbeat. So now it's coming to the liquefant with the FTL51B, and that's a big change. Lots of value there. We'll have a closer look at that. Another change is that new, very visible, bright LED light, that status indicator that adds a lot of value to the FTL51B. You see the other features there. There's a 100-bar version available for 1,450 PSI. Comes as a compact sensor or with an extension tube. You have your XP approvals. So these are the main features. Just wanted to quickly show that. That's also something, if you're familiar with liquefants, you're familiar with this modular design, this modular structure, which is very convenient and versatile, lots of possibilities. With that same order code, do have basically a perfect fit for your application with what you want to do. Of course, different process connections, as I mentioned, 100-bar option, different electronics if you want to do density, for example. We'll have a closer look at that later. So yeah, we still have that modular design or product structure. So these are the 4 key new additions, benefits that the FTL51B brings to the Vibrating game, and I want us to have a closer look at these one by one. So the Bluetooth connectivity, the heartbeat technology, as I mentioned, SIL, but most importantly, SIL proof testing, and also we'll have a quick look at that LED light, which is a great addition. Let's start with Bluetooth. We're adding, Bluetooth with more and more of our devices. It's a popular feature. This for the FTL51B would also work with our SmartBlue app. You can connect for sure from 10 meters, but in ideal conditions, we were able to reach 20 meters, but 10 meters for sure. So that's 30 feet up to 60 feet if everything's perfect. And you will use that Bluetooth app and interface to access heartbeat diagnostics verification monitoring. That proof testing wizard walkthrough will also happen on the Bluetooth app. And of course, as you may know, everything we do Bluetooth is super secure with encrypted data, so no issues there. You can get our app for Android or Apple. You can even have it on your laptop, or not on a laptop, but you'd be able to connect via Bluetooth with the device with the laptop and then use device care. Or you could use, you see here, the gentleman is using our wonderful Field Expert SMT70 tablet PC and connects to a liquefiant at the top of a tank. So very convenient for devices higher up or in hard to reach places. So that's Bluetooth connection. And as I mentioned, Bluetooth and the SmartBlue app will be your gateway to heartbeat. What is heartbeat? Heartbeat, again, it's the same thing for the FTL51B, the 3 pillars. Heartbeat is meant to increase and guarantee safe plant operations, ensure availability, so no stopping to do verification, no pulling out meters to verify them, and eventually save time and costs. So you have your first pillar, diagnostics. That's the continuous self-evaluation that the meter does of itself. It gives a device status with pictograms. You want to see that green check mark that says everything is okay, but you could also see maintenance required, out of spec, or device failure, and you'll get a message if ever an event occurs. So that's diagnostic. Verification. Verification, that's an on-demand performance check of your device without process interruption. And that performance check also generates a heartbeat verification report that will show the result of that verification, either a pass or fail. And we'll see, I have an example of what a report could look like for a FTL51B. And you would do a verification to meet external regulatory requirements, or sometimes even internal standards for verification, or just because you want to know that your device is okay and trend any variation. Finally, the last pillar is heartbeat monitoring. Now, diagnostics is more reactive. When something happens, verification you would run to prevent something, and heartbeat monitoring is more for predictive maintenance. You would track reference parameters, for example, the frequency, the changes in frequency of that vibrating fork, to predict when it would be time to do maintenance. So that's monitoring. So all the 3 pillars. Diagnostics, you will have, so that's what it looks like when you connect to your device. You have that's the SmartBlue app. You're on your iPhone, your Android phone, or your SMT70 tablet. You'll see what Endress Hauser devices you can connect to. Then you pick, for in this case, you will tap your FTL51B, and then you're taken to a screen where you will instantly see device information. What's the status? Is my tuning fork covered or covered with media? What's the oscillation frequency of the fork? So that's right there in your home screen, the diagnostic, the heartbeat diagnostic. You'll also be able to go in another menu to run your heartbeat verification. And you can do that, of course, while you're measuring, while you're outputting. There's no interruption. And you run the verification and you get that detailed report. That's an important part of it, is getting that report where you will see device information, of course, overall verification test results. Then you get more detailed results. And you will also see results from previous tests, so you can start to do some trending. So if you must provide documented evidence of level instruments performing up to standard, up to their initial calibration to maintain compliance with regulatory agencies, or, like I mentioned, internal standards, at the push or a tap of a screen, you can run that report, and you'll have a PDF that you can email, that you can print, that you can store. And also in the app, you're walked through the process. There's a wizard also for heartbeat verification. I mentioned the seal-proof testing wizard. There's one also for the heartbeat verification. So if you compare that to, for example, verifying by fully removing the level instrument, taking it to the lab, immersing it in liquid, you have to stop your process, and you risk damaging the instrument and lead to all sorts of situations, not to mention the time, and yeah, time is money when you're not operating. So this is really a safer, simpler way to do your verification, to a point where you can do it more frequently than you would do when you have to remove the device. So that doesn't replace seal-proof testing, but some people use it to extend the interval of seal-proof tests. That's a plus, and it's important to know that our heartbeat technology fully complies with the requirements for traceable verification. It's important to know, according to ISO 9001, which is often important for audit requirements, that your verification method meets ISO 9001. Okay, we'll have a quick look. Now I'm hoping everything will go okay as I switch screens here. Tell me, Mike, if you can see this PDF now. Everything okay?
I can see it, Francois.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that if you can see it, everybody can see it. So that's what a verification report would look like for FTL51B. So as mentioned, you have the device information, the overall verification result, pass or test, what date you've done it. So you see that the main board is tested, the sensor module, and it's detailed. You even have your date of the last proof test because it's connected in the app. You have your frequency, electronics temperature, and then, yeah, as I was mentioning, a bit of history. Every time you run the tests, it stores information. So that's what it looks like. So it looks like I wanted to to show it. So really a simple, safe way to do verification. So I'm going to go back here. And talk about how you can, with the trend analysis, take it one step further. Vibrating instruments, as we saw, they don't have any moving parts. So basically, the only problem they may encounter is corrosion of that tuning fork, or excessive buildup that would prevent or dampen the vibration of the tuning forks. So, and being able to track that oscillation is an advantage compared to other physical principles like floats, because the vibrating point level switches, that frequency is also an indication of a potential issue. So by tracking oscillation variation, the fork basically self-monitors. And of course, we have corrosion resistant metals. We saw it in the structure, stainless steel, alloy for the FTL51B, but very aggressive chemicals over time can eventually eat through even these types of materials. And when tuning forks corrode over time, they can not give as accurate a measure or break off. So that if that metal is thinning, is wearing out, that will increase the vibration frequency of the fork up to a certain point where that there's too much corrosion. So it will trigger a warning that that corrosion has started to appear. On the other end of the spectrum, if that vibration is lower than it should be, then that medium is probably covering your sensor if you have a medium that tends to build up. So you get a corrosion warning that will pop in your diagnostics. That LED light also will turn red. But if you track it with monitoring, we'll see on the next slide, you can even do it predictive before that light turns red. So you can decide, do I do maintenance now? Do I wait for a shutdown? How do I manage my replacements? So one interesting thing to know, I think, is that you can also, with a service contract with E&H, have one of our technicians do all of that. Run your heartbeat verifications, look at the trends, work with you on a maintenance plan. So yeah, our technicians do that also. I was talking about monitoring, that's taking it one step further. So you can, on the x-axis, you have the oscillation frequency in hertz, and that normally you should be between two certain points, and that if you're below that, you want an alarm saying, hey, buildup could be an issue, maintenance required. Or if you're above a certain point, hey, we're losing metal and we possibly have corrosion. So you can turn that with the monitoring aspect into predictive maintenance. And there are other parameters that you can track with monitoring that are interesting, but I wanted to put the spotlight on buildup and corrosion because these are two common things you may want to track when you have a tuning fork. Okay, hope that was clear. Of course, we don't have time today to go very much in depth, but if I wanted to show you what it can do, and then of course your E&H representative and our technical support team and everybody can help you set it up and have it do what you want it to do. I mentioned a few times that LED indicator. Yeah, 3 colors, green, everything's okay. Yellow, I'm covered, something's happening. And red is, yeah, attention required, failure, something is happening. And I will show you a little video. Again, Mike, I will ask you to be my tester. Tell me if you can see that video app.
I currently see the screen, yes. And it looks like it's coming through good.
Yeah, so you see that green light, orange, I'm covered with medium. And now the red light. You can see that it's nice and bright. So if it's up there on a tank, you'll have no problem seeing it. Or if you're in a mine somewhere and it's very dark, you can't miss it. So it makes everything very, very safe by indicating the status with that bright light. And last but not least, as you've noticed in the features, the FTL51B was developed for SIL 2 and SIL 3 applications. And SIL means proof testing. So point level instruments may have to be periodically proof tested to meet various safety regulations. This could have been a problem with older instruments that you have, again, to remove from the process, stop your process for testing them. Not so with the FTL51B. You have so different ways to trigger. You won't trigger the SIL proof test with the app, with the SmartBlue app. For safety reasons, we don't want people to accidentally trigger a SIL test. But what you will have is a wizard that's very simple and intuitive, and that will guide you through the process step by step from beginning to end. But also, most importantly, will save the data and create for you a PDF electronic report that you'll have right there on site once the testing is done, that you can give to your inspector. You can email it, print it, save it. So how you will trigger then the proof test, you have different ways. You can, of course, you could pull out your fork and dip it in liquid, have your liquid go up all the way to the point where it would trigger an output of your tuning fork of your FTL51B. You can open the cap, and there's a button you can press on the electronics to trigger that proof test. Opening the cap's not always possible, especially not in a class 1 div 1 environment. So you could then use this new, I don't know if it's new or just recent, this test magnet that we have. You just tap it on the side of the housing. It's a very strong magnet, so it's not just any magnet that will trigger the test, and you really have to hit a certain spot to initiate the proof test, so you don't have to open the cap. And then if you have something that's hard to reach, you don't want to take it out, we have Niveau testers. See it here. They're devices you can have in your control room, and just press the button and trigger that SIL proof test. And the wizard will start really from the beginning. Do you want to do a wet test or an electronic test? Are you using a magnet and Niveau tester? And then we'll guide you all the way to the end to the production of that report. So really easy, convenient, safe way to do it, to do your SIL proof testing. So yeah, as mentioned in the SmartBlue app, you'll have that wizard will guide you through step by step, creates that report, and documents the whole thing. I wanted to show you this just in case you do have, for any reason, to remove your liquefant, your FTL51B from your tank. We have these accessories, these Camlock Kits with a sliding sleeve that make it much easier to remove the device from the tank. You just basically unclamp it and you can take away. You don't have to unscrew it. If you have a cable that's very tight, it can be a little bit complicated. So I just wanted to show this so you know that if you're in a situation where you absolutely have to remove it, ask us about these Camlock kits. They really help save a lot of time. Also was mentioned earlier that you can use your liquefant for density measurement, for continuous measurement of density, which can be an advantage doing it continuously in process versus in the laboratory. Could be more efficient and simpler and safer than lab testing. There's an electronic module. It's now well integrated into the structure of the FTL51B, your electronic module for density measurement, plus the density computer, FMS621, and then you can add to that a temperature transmitter, perhaps even a pressure transmitter if you have pressure changes. Yeah, so this is more of an FYI that you can do continuous measurement of density with your FTL51B. Okay, now before we go to applications, Gail, we have another poll just to make sure everyone's still alive and kicking.
The poll has been launched.
Poll is launched. I can't see it, but I assume people do see it.
Yeah, people are definitely answering, François. I'll give you all another 30 seconds to answer this poll.
Thank you for your answers, and thanks again for coming. Good turnout today. Glad to have you.
Hey, François, while we're waiting, we have a couple of questions that have come in. I've fielded the answers via texting. Do we want to just review them now, or do you want to save them for the end?
Yeah, go ahead, answer them. So yeah, maybe other people have the same question. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So the first question was, can the vibrating forks measure level of solids? The answer is yes. Particularly as we're speaking in this application, this is the liquefant, which liquid for liquid. There is another version of a vibrating fork, which is the solifant, which can be used to detect the level with solids. The key thing to point out is these are point level detection and not continuous level detection. So you have to kind of pass the threshold in order for it to cover that fork and to indicate where the level is in the tank or in a pipe or something. So that was the first question. Second question, what communication protocols are implemented with the liquefant in terms of communicating with the device? Currently, right now, everything's done primarily at the device itself. The communication protocol, if we want to go in and run a heartbeat or run that SIL proof test wizard, would be with the Bluetooth app. So that would be the communication. In terms of outputs, though, however, there's variations of how to get the relay or the control back to an alarm system or a control system, and that's either through AC voltage or DC voltages and relays.
And quick sneak preview for everybody. We are coming next year with the heart package, heart electronics for digital communication next year that will enable a lot of other functions. So stay tuned for an announcement of that in 2021.
Awesome. And then lastly, I hope I got the question right. It says the red light is for the device failed, and this is nothing relayed to the process as a question. So if I'm interpreting, oh, I can't even interpret the word, interpreting the word or question properly. So as I mentioned, the LED is for a visual only. There has been a failure. If it's connected to an alarm system or it's connected to a control system, then yes, there will be a relay switch. So the state on the relay will change depending on how it's wired, and will either close or connect the voltage, which will indicate going back to a control system. So whether it's a pop-up on a HMI, whether it sounds an alarm, a horn, or a combination of combination of ways to inform that there's been an issue. And those, as of right now, are the 3 questions that have come in.
Thanks a lot, Mike, for that. Now we're ready to look at our poll results, I think.
Yes, I've shared the results.
Yeah, we wanted to know, and we're always trying to improve these presentations. We like to know what you're most interested in. I can't see them. Okay, I'll see the results, suppose later, or maybe Mike or Gail, you can tell me what the results are.
So there's a tie for first place. So at 63%, we have the LED status indicator, as well as the ties with the heartbeat technology, followed pretty closely with 47% with Bluetooth, and 16% coming in for the guided wizard for proof testing.
Okay, yeah. So that light, it does just a light, but brings serious value. All right, thanks for your answers. And last portion of this presentation, applications. Where would you use FTL51B, or examples where it was used and where these new features were adding value and why? As Mike was saying, the liquefants and the FTL51B is a liquefant for liquid applications and point detection. You can have it at the top of a tank, at the bottom of a tank. You can have it both at the top and bottom to do a minimum measurement, and in a pipe to detect that a pipe is empty and protect the pump. So this is one application in food and beverage where the heartbeat monitoring of detecting buildup was important. You could see that over time, the frequency was getting smaller and smaller, so you're able to detect that there's buildup on your fork, and that you can then schedule maintenance before it stops vibrating, basically, and you can go ahead and clean your fork. In a brewery, that's a great example of how that visual LED indicator can be useful in a CIP process for empty pipe detection. to, yes, protect your pump, but also, can I go into the pipe? Can I open it? Is it really empty? So all related to safety, and that LED module brings that clear visual indication of the status. Here are more pictures, so you instantly know what's happening in your pipe. Again, here is just to show the improvements. Let's say maybe an environment where lighting is not optimal, to say the least. And you can see that, yeah, you won't miss these lights compared to another option where, yeah, you have lights, but they can get covered in dust or are not as easy to see. So in a mining application where you possibly don't have ideal visibility, really useful. That's, yeah, chemical application. That's a situation again with buildup. You can monitor the oscillation frequency and know when the buildup has reached a certain threshold where you'll want to do maintenance, scheduled maintenance. So again, with heartbeat. Here another example of how that LED module is used in an application for overfill protection, great visibility of the switching status, easier to identify a device that needs attention. And that's it. There are many more things you could do, but it was just to show, real life examples. In a nutshell, what we saw today, the key benefits: Bluetooth connectivity up to 20 meters away, 10 meters away, where you'll access heartbeat, where you'll access your proof testing wizard. With heartbeat, you'll have your diagnostics, you'll be able to do your verification report, and you'll be able to monitor to detect buildup and corrosion, for example. That LED light, we saw plenty of that. And then cell proof testing with multiple ways to initiate them, and that wizard on the SmartBlue app that takes you through it step by step, but also saves the data, gives you a nice PDF report that you can email or print. So that's what the FTL51B brings to the vibronic level measurement. All right. Before we go to our last poll, some public announcements. Next week, we have a digital event on December 1st. You must have seen that if you follow us on any social media platform, or maybe you received an email. Make sure you sign up for that on next Tuesday. Short but effective presentations on a variety of topics by a variety of people, previews of products that are coming in 2021, insight on different industries. So make sure you sign up for that, and you'll also be able to see our beautiful virtual booth, since we're unable to have live shows in a real venue. Our marketing team put together this great virtual booth that you'll be able to access with the show platform next Tuesday, or that you can actually go in right now today through our website, through endress.com. Speaking of endress.com, if you haven't done that already, make sure that you create your user account on endress.com. You'll be able to put in an order, get all the documentation you need. You'll be able to track your deliveries, order spare parts. There's an app to find the most suitable product for your application, and so much more. So endress.com account is a must for anyone that deals with Endress Hauser. You can go to endress.com, Canadian version, but if you just go endress.com, it will locate you and you'll be there. All right, that's it. We have one last poll and then we'll go to questions. We have a little bit of time to do both, and maybe while the poll is up, Mike will look at the questions. So Gail, you can fire up that last poll, please. And
the poll has been launched.
Thanks a lot, Gail, and thanks for all your support for setting this up. Hope everyone enjoyed it, learned a thing or two. Hopefully, just a brief overview, as I said, and make sure to reach out to your Endress Hauser representative for more details. Mike, do we have more questions?
We do have another question that has come in. The question was for a tube mounting application. Could the FTL51B be used in glucose? So the answer is yes. FTL51B will work with detecting glucose in other tanks, or if it's being pumped through some piping. I hope, Karina, that I have the tube mounting portion correct. What I'd recommend is, again, obviously, if there's any more questions, feel free to ask them here, or if not, with applications, feel free to contact your Endress Hauser representative, and you can ask them the question, and be more than happy to help you guys out further.
Thanks, Mike.
I'll share the poll now.
You probably would have to track buildup with glucose, I would think. What do you think, Mike? Or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can if it sits on there.
Yeah.
If it sits and hardens, then definitely there could be some potential for buildup on there. Okay, well, this is coming in. There's a couple more questions that have come in. Where are the heartbeat verification reports stored? They will be stored within the app. In the app and in the module, and they can be downloaded at the time, or you can save them and download them kind of en masse. The beauty about what the app is, they can be downloaded and emailed right from your email browser on the phone. That was a pretty neat feature. And that is the newest question coming in.
And the app will store up to 8 reports. I'm going out from memory here. Is that, do you know if that's correct? The 8 lasts?
It sounds familiar. I don't know the number off the top of my head as well.
Could be probably 8, but it stores a certain number of reports. Okay, I think we could look at our results now. That last poll, again, that's for improving our next webinars, which will probably be then, apart from that show next week, probably we'll see you all next Tuesday, and then it will probably be in 2021. Someone will have to read. I don't see the results. I will need some help.
Okay. Yeah, I can help out here. So, what's the most interesting topic? 6% Endress Hauser at a glance. Then we have a very large response, which are the benefits of the liquefan FTL51B. Again, at 75%. The density measurement brought in about 31%, and application examples at 50%.
Yeah, always good to have applications. All right, good. Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for the answers. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde, d'avoir été là aujourd'hui. Thanks for joining. Thanks again, Gail, Mike. We're giving you back like 3 minutes. Enjoy it.
Thank you for that, Francois.
Good, safe holidays to everyone. And yeah, make sure you join us next week great content next Tuesday for our digital event. See you then.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Salut, bye bye tout le monde.